Hi, folks. Ryan McIntyre here with Still Timbersports Canada. Some very interesting times we're living in here right now. Everyone is self-isolating and doing their part to distance themselves and limit the spread of COVID-19. Just want to say thank you to everyone out there that's working hard to help contain this virus that's impacting the entire world. With all that is going on, we had still thought it would be a great opportunity while everyone is at home to carry out some interviews. So I'm going to be reaching out to athletes and interesting people from the world of timber sports, and just having some chats and talking to some people and figuring out what's going on in their lives and how they're dealing with all this, but also, talk a bit about some of their past and history and how they've worked their way through the steel timber sports world. So on today's episode, I got to chat with Danielle Tkach. Danielle was the very first ever Steel Timber Sports Women's Canadian Champion back in 2014. We'll talk a bit about that, and as well, Danielle's just a fantastic ambassador for the sport. She's a great person, and I think you'll enjoy the interview. So sit back, enjoy. Hey folks, I'm Ryan McIntyre, and this is TIMBERChats. I'm going to be talking today with Danielle Tkach. Danielle's out in Sexsmith, Alberta. Danielle, how you making out?
Oh, not too bad. Pretty chill here. -9, sun is shining.
How is self-isolation life for you in Sexsmith?
Trying to keep a bit of a routine. I can't work from home, but I can do some continuing education online. So do that in the mornings and work out in the afternoon, and then try and find a few projects around the house.
Right on. You're a massage therapist,
Yes.
right? Yeah. So that must be a challenge right now, I would imagine. Just everyone's got their own challenges with this and whether or not they can work from home or not. But I can obviously with social distancing and all that, I can see that being a real challenge for sure.
Yeah, definitely. I actually just had a call from a potential client this afternoon. I work with a lot of babies who have feeding issues, and there was a mom who called me who wanted to see if I could help her out, but unfortunately I'm just not allowed to right now.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Well, it gives you time to focus on other things like the Steel Timber Sports series, right?
That's right.
I'm kind of curious, like, how did you get into the sport anyway?
Well, I started off in college. We had a varsity team. I went to Sir Sanford Fleming in Ontario, and I just absolutely loved it. New skill, new sport, new challenges, and so I stuck with it.
You big into sports, like growing up, other sports?
I was a long distance runner, actually, cross country, track and field. So that was my background.
Okay. Well, come a long ways here. You were the very first Steel Timber Sports Canadian Women's Champion back in 2014. I kind of want to talk a little bit about that. I mean, that's a big accomplishment, a big feat. Like, what did that mean to you, and what was it like to kind of build up to that point and take home that first ever championship?
Yeah, that was incredible. I was really excited when Steel decided to add a women's division. That was the first big step. Never mind even winning it, just getting to qualify and compete, and then making it to championships. In that first year, the championship was just head-to-head, the final two, one from the east, one from the west. So it was pretty nerve-wracking, but it was also really to be able to win that and get the first ever title.
Yeah, it was. That was you and Janet Walker head-to-head in Toronto at the Indy. Is that right?
That's right.
That is unreal. Like a head-to-head final is pretty wild. I mean, that's a lot of pressure, a lot on the line there. You got the job done. Like, what do you remember that day? Can you put yourself mentally back into that day, or was it just like, it's another competition, or what?
No, definitely. It was tough because of the time zone change was working against me for sleep. I seem to remember we had a red-eye flight that came in, so we were trying to catch up on our hours of rest, and as well as trying to watch some of the men's qualifiers. When we started, Janet took the underhand chop right off the hop. I didn't have a great chop, so I knew I was battling that. Then we went to stock saw, and I was really quick to the wood, but when I grabbed that handle, I also accidentally hit the chain brake. I heard it right away, and I reset, and I just cut like my life depended on it. I actually won that event.
Nice.
By and so when we came into the single buck, I knew that was going to be a strong event for me. And I had to win it too, mathematically. When there are only 3 events for women, you got to win 2 out of 3. When there are more competitors, the math works a little bit more in your favor. Yeah. But the fewer competitors, the more is on the line. Oh, yeah. So I had a fantastic run in the single buck and beat her by quite a bit, and that gave me the championship.
Man, that's yeah. I mean, that's just such an amazing feat to be able to win a championship, regardless, but to win the first championship too. I mean, that's a spot in history there. That's pretty cool. So you move on from 2014, 2015. The championships are Niagara Falls. They expand to a 4-competitor format for the women's division. And you end up on the podium again. Didn't win it that year, but you end up in the podium again, 3rd place. Janet takes it that year. So maybe she was a little hungry from the year before or something. But
yeah, she earned it. She earned it. She deserved that win.
For sure, yeah. And what was it? How did you find the difference between going from 2 competitors head to head to expanding to the 4-competitor format from year to year there?
It was nice to mix it up with more numbers, have more women who were accepted into the championship. We could see then that it was going to start to be a bigger event as time went on. So that was a really nice thing to see the women's division to start to develop.
Oh, definitely. So, and I mean, it all started in 2014, and it's just been building and building and building since then. And I mean, you've made every national championship since then, since the beginning, other than one, podium 3 times. And last year in Mississauga, you tied for the overall. So, I mean, that was a huge run. I mean, to come back to the point, you tied in points with Stephanie No, and she just got you, I guess, in the overall time when you could cumulative time. But I mean, you were in there. I mean, that's an unreal run. Like, what was the difference between last year and 2014?
I would say a combination of, everything that you need to win a championship, really. You've got to have top-notch gear. You've got to have your strength and your physical conditioning just have to be right at the top of your game. And you got to want it.
Yeah.
And the wood has to be good. The wood plays a really big part. I had one unfortunate year where that didn't go my way. But last year the wood supplier was right on it. And we had great chops and great sawing wood. And yeah, I was just ready to go last year with all my events.
Yeah, for sure. Well, and shout out to Nick Russell there for supplying some solid timber for last year. It's definitely very even wood, and Western White Pine seems to cut pretty good, and everybody seemed to have some pretty good blocks. So you're making a really good point. It is called timber sports for a reason. The timber is everything, and bad blocks can decide the whole day. So it's great to hear that. When you have even wood, you can see it. I mean, you can see it at the time of the competition when people have good even blocks, or when there's a real hard one that gets in the mix or something. So it's great to see for sure. It was something I find interesting, and I kind of like your 2 cents on it, is with the women's division, we've never seen a back-to-back champion yet. So I'm kind of curious, like, why do you think that is? Do you think it's more the depth of the roster and the talent, or do you think it's more to do with where it's that 3-event format, and that's a really challenging format to work through, of course, and you touched on that, or a combination of the both? Like, what do you think?
I think a lot of it comes down to what happens at the qualifier, who makes it through. There's some really excellent women competitors, both in the East and the West in Canada.
Yeah, definitely.
And sometimes you might just have a bad day. On any given day in the sport, you can be at the top of the heap, or 1 or 2 things can go wrong and it just all falls apart and you don't make it through. It's always going to be harder to try and keep that championship than try to go get it and take it from someone.
Oh, no question. Yeah, I mean, that's so true too. I mean, you could show up and the same thing. It's the same thing as drawing a block that doesn't work in your favor at the championship level, at the qualifier level. It means everything, right? I mean, if you know, anything can happen. So I mean, that's timber sports though, and I think that's one of the reasons we love it too, is those days that you do draw a good log and cut it well, or you saw it well, or whatever. I mean, those are the days you live for, I guess, right?
It's a sport where you're always learning too. Small mistakes that you make, you know, you're not likely to make them again. In 2015, my feet slipped on the stage during stock saw, which resulted in the DQ. And so I'll always wear spikes on stage now, even in stock saw, which isn't an event that you would ever think that footing would be an issue, but it can be. So that was a lesson I learned that day.
Yeah, smart for sure. I mean, everything comes from your legs, right? In this sport, I think so many people think everything comes from the arms, but you draw a lot of power and all your stability and base from down at the ground. So that's smart. Really good point. Yeah. So jumping back, you know, you are in Alberta, and TIMBERSPORTS is scheduled to be coming out there this year for a big event, the Champions Trophy. I'm just kind of curious, you know, what does it mean to see see the STIHL series finally coming to Alberta at the highest level? I know, you know, it's not the championship. It's so we won't see the women's championship there just yet, but maybe in the future. But still, what does it mean to you to see the big series make it all the way to your home province?
It's great to have the big events moving all around the country. It exposes more people as, you know, spectators to the sport. It also means that certain competitors don't have to travel as far always to get to their competitions.
Sure. Yeah.
For me, I absolutely love the Champions Trophy. Years ago, the women used to have an event like that. It was called the Endurance event, and it was highly competitive for us as well. So I know what goes into it. I know how it feels to do it, and I really enjoy watching it. And the last few years, I've been, you know, air casting onto my big screen off of YouTube or on the STIHL TIMBERSPORTS Facebook page every time the Champions Trophy comes on. And it's a real nail biter. I'm always on the edge of my seat, seeing who's going to win or who's going to make a mistake, who's going to pull ahead. So with it being in Red Deer, it's not super close to where I live. It's still quite a long drive. It's about a 6-hour drive.
Yeah.
But that's close enough for me to be able to go and see it live. So that's going to be pretty great. For
sure. Well, I guess I'll see you there. I'm looking forward to it too. I love the Champions Trophy event for the same reasons, and I've done it, as you know, in Wasaga, and I'm telling you, it's like, you're bang on. It's a grueling event, and it pulls everything out of you. But it's so fun to watch. Such a great race. So yeah, I think the folks in Red Deer and the folks in Alberta are going to be in for a real show there. So listen, I want to go through a bit of a lightning round here with you. I got a couple short questions. I want quick answers, fast as you can come up with. All right?
Ready.
So ready? Okay, I like it. Yeah. Timer's ready. All right. Who is the most influential fellow athlete to you in your career?
I don't think I have a really quick answer for that. I spent
that's all right.
The early part of developing in the sport over in New Zealand with some of the training with a lot of the athletes over there, and probably a handful of names pop to mind. I've lived with the Fawcett's and trained with them.
Fawcett,
the makers of Tuatai axes and saws. I've trained with Stephen Wynyard and the late David Bolstead.
Wow. Good
and the women competitors, trained and competed with them. So that was probably the biggest influence in my training and competing, was being overseas.
Oh, absolutely. Wow. I mean, that's, to be able to say that, you just listed some, some of the best ever, of course, Jason Wynyard, Dave Bolstead. I mean, geez, that's unreal. That must have been quite a treat. Do you have any stories from training with Dave Bolstead?
David, I mean, if you've met David or spent any amount of time with him, he doesn't talk a lot. He chooses his words carefully, so that when he's talking, it's worth saying, and you better listen.
Okay. I've heard some pretty legendary stories of him having, block ends, just thousands of block ends in a row in his yard, just training, chopping all the time. Did you, were you at his place, or,
yeah? A couple of times training. And when you show up there, you better be ready to work. You better set your own block and show me that you're there to learn, there to work.
I love it.
He appreciates that, and he recognizes that, or he did, he recognized that in fellow competitors who really were there to make the most of their time with him.
For sure. Yeah, it's so sad. He, gone way, one of the best to ever do it. That's for sure. Okay, so all right, well, we're gonna go back to the lightning round. We'll go back. So you got one choice. You got to reach in your axe box, grab one axe. What is it?
It's a combination grind with the chisel and a slight hollow. A little heavier than most women's axes. It was new to me last year, made by Fave Cepho.
Beauty. What do you like more, chopping or sawing?
Probably chopping, because I fight with it more.
Bigger challenge. I like it. If you could go, okay, go ahead.
No, that was all I had. It's just a bigger challenge.
All right. I love it. That's fantastic. If you could go head to head against any other athlete anywhere, who would it be?
I don't know. Do I have to want to beat them?
Oh yeah, 100%. 100%. You're not going there to whoop them. Come on.
Actually, right. The most exciting competitor for me to go head to head with is Andrea Hand, because her and I are very equal in speed, power, technique, I guess. We're at the point in our chopping careers where every time we stand next to each other on blocks, it could go either way. And there's just a competitiveness and a hunger that we both have that really keeps each other going.
For sure. I can see that for sure. Like, both you and Andrea, very high fitness levels, very, very strong, active, very talented choppers and sawyers. I could see that for sure. I think Andrea has what it takes to someday be a champion, and I hope she keeps pushing herself. I think competing against the likes of you and Anita and Allie Briscoe and all the fantastic competitors out on the West Coast, I think it's only a matter of time if she really keeps pushing herself, for sure. Okay, prediction time. Who do you think takes home this year's STIHL TIMBERSPORTS Men's Championship overall? Who takes it?
Men's Championship. Nathan Cumberland is still so strong. It's hard to get by him. He might take it again. Yeah,
you might see the three-peat. Okay, I like it. Hey, it's hard to argue with that. That's for sure.
I'd love to see Marcel Dupuis up there too, though. He's such a top athlete. I feel like he's in there. He's probably underrated by everyone except his fellow competitors.
Oh yeah, anybody that's gone head to head with Marcel knows you're gonna have a tough day at the office anytime you're going against Marcel. It doesn't matter what the event is. Yeah. I've seen him take a lot of overalls, and he's he was the 2015 still Canadian champion, so he's done it before and he can do it again. I'm certain of that too. Yeah, for sure. Okay, who wins the women's championship?
Well, me, of course.
Yeah, that's what I like to hear. That's a strong finish. You know what?
I haven't seen Janet compete. She's just coming off of maternity leave, so I'd love to see how she's doing. Of course, I know Stephanie is still going to be strong. And like I said, Andrea could be up there. Sure. I think Allie Briscoe might be having to take a bit of a step back because she's entering university, but hopefully she'll still be just as involved. She's also a really strong competitor. Like I've said before, anyone can take it on the day. You can have a good day or a bad day. You can capitalize or make small mistakes. So I'm going to be playing to win, just like I I usually do, and hoping to come out on top.
Good. I think that's a perfect place to leave it. So I'm going to wish you all the best in your training, and be sure to stay safe, Danielle. I want to thank you so much for joining me today, and I want to thank everybody for watching. Stay safe, and we'll see you next time. Thanks again, Danielle.